Hello, beautiful Sagittarius soul family, and welcome to May 2020. Yeah, this is powerful energy we are going to be working with in May. I am digging it. I actually really love the logic and the energy and the flow of what's happening in May. As a follow-up, a lot of you reached out to me after the April discussion where I was saying you have a seat at the table, you have something that's important for you to bring forward in life, and I can feel that for you. And a lot of you were like, yeah, but I can't see it quite yet. I don't know how to put form to it. I don't know how to work with that at this time. I'm feeling really misty or foggy about it. A lot of you reached out and said that. And I feel like May is going to help shape more of that perspective and get really crisp and clear on it. And there's some really big stuff going on for you all that you're going to start feeling pretty intensely starting this May. But I think what it's going to be doing for you is helping you parse through that and helping you step into some new modalities and to see containers and ways of telling your story and your narrative that you didn't even realize had snuck along with you on the journey thus far, that you were able to shed and let go of. So this is a really illuminating time. So let's go through some of the transits that are going to be doing that work with you. This is going to be a time where your worldview shifts, where your paradigms are shifting, and I think for the better. I think this is going to be really liberating. Before I get started on the transits, actually, I have so much to cover with you all today. I want to talk about this dream that I had this morning that immediately when I woke up, I was like, I know who I need to share this with. Sagittarius. King of Pentacles came up. So in the dream, life was going on business as usual. I was living my life, hanging out with my friends, doing stuff. But it was really weird. We were all in these jumpsuits and we were all actually prisoners. We had guards that would tell us where to go, what to do. And everybody felt really heavy and depressed, even though what the guards were telling us to do was what we would normally do in our day-to-day lives. You know, go get some groceries, go to work, go home, whatever, just typical stuff. But it was the intent behind it, right? It was the context of it being done. It was like, you have to carry on. You don't have a choice. These guards would remind you all the time, you don't have a choice. You have to keep just doing this stuff. And if you don't like how that feels, too bad. They did offer free drugs, like sedatives to anybody who felt like they couldn't handle it. Knight of Cups and Ten of Wands wanted to come out. And it did feel distressing when I was dreaming the dream and I woke up from it, but I realized there is a paradigm that's falling away, which is that we have to keep going, that we have to keep moving through the world in the same way, right? That is a prison in and of itself. Page of Cups, Five of Wands. Ooh, interesting combos of fire and water going on here. And that, it's also this construct, right? That this idea of being prisoners in our own lives, and even things that, you can look at the surface and say, but I'm doing fine. I'm allowed to do these things. I'm doing my usual thing. I don't see what's wrong with that. Ooh, 3 cards wanted to come out. 10 of Cups, Chariot, and 3 of Wands. Oh my gosh. I'm loving this, you all. I'm loving this so much. There's so much watery wisdom here. And that dream just made me think about where we still imprison ourselves that we think is normal, that we think of as just obvious, has to come with us. So this month is going to really help you release those. So what's going on this month? Before we get into the cards, what's going on? Well, first of all, the north node of the moon is shifting, and the north node and the south node, the 2 nodes of the moon, shift every about 18 months, so every year and a half. And they have been in Cancer, North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn. They always go backwards. So this month they're moving into North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. Don't let that get you worried, right? South Node is about the past. It is about releasing the shadow. It is about moving away from things that no longer serve us. I think Sagittarius, I love you all so much. You're my favorites, right? But you also have a heaviness and a darkness that sometimes holds you captive a little bit despite your bright, brilliant, bold, forward-focused, curious, playful energy. There are parts of yourself that you limit, you cut yourself off, you sometimes hold yourself back from fully expressing. You have parts of yourself that maybe you feel insecure about or gross about that are just containers and stories that you told yourself. So the south node of the moon being in Sagittarius is going to help us heal that. And on a bigger note, collectively, we're reframing our paradigm and our philosophy about what matters in life. And the South Node is really helping us to do that. Now, on the flip side, the North Node of the moon is in your relationship sector. It's in your opposite sign, which means there's a ton of beautiful forward motion energy working with you when it comes to relationship, when it comes to who you love, and when it comes to how you connect, pulling you more into connective healing rather than self-isolated healing. So those moon nodes are really important at this time and will be working with you, like I said, for 18 months. Now there's other big things happening in your 7th house as well. We have Mercury moving into Gemini, and we have Venus working in Gemini, starting her retrograde on May 13th. So the Venus retrograde, I'm going to be doing a 6-week. She's a 6-week retrograde girl. Venus loves her 6-week retrograde. It's very symbolic. It's kind of like the 40 days and 40 nights in the desert. It's a soul-searching transit. We're going to be doing every week. We're going to be doing a deep dive. We're going to be talking about it. I have some really fun themes I've been researching and we're going to discuss over at my Patreon. So if you want more in-depth discussion, we're going to go there. For you all, though, right now, this Venus retrograde is going to help you heal where you feel you have to cut yourself off from connection, where you feel you have to self-edit or be on point all the time in order to be loved, respected, cared for, accepted. It's going to challenge the fire sign idea that value is in being a performer. Right? It's going to challenge all of that, and it's going to take you to some deep places. So keep that in mind. These are deep things. These are not the only retrogrades going on. Pluto over in your 2nd house of money and value, and Jupiter over in your 2nd house as well, both in Capricorn, are starting their retrogrades. Pluto has already started on April 24th. Jupiter is starting on May 14th. These two outer planets are retrograding for several months. This summer is going to be an outer planet retrograde summer. Saturn is also going retrograde in Aquarius and will be going back to Capricorn over the next few months. And Saturn in Aquarius, right, is your 3rd house of how you communicate, how you share, how you connect, how you use your voice. So you have some really big, deep, juicy transits at this time. Also the moons. We have a new moon in your 7th house. We have the sun moving into your 7th house. Everything's moving into Gemini. We're doing a ton in Gemini, a ton in your relational energy. Now, with the cards, I think we're seeing some of that here, my Sag friends, and this is amazing. So this is a really spiritual time for you all. This is also a very connective time. It's not about holding yourself back, like I said, or just being the performer, but this is about deep connection. Now we start with King of Pentacles, which is a foundational energy in so many ways. You may have some really grounded people in your life helping you feel the earth beneath your feet. This is a time to come back to the details, to the connectiveness, to the paying attention, to the little details of our day. There's also a really big theme coming up here of a lot of seeds being planted very intentionally in the hidden and the unseen that we are meant to take our time to really listen into. And so revolution is coming from this very earth-based energy, which, you know, a lot of times we've thought of revolution as being very action-oriented and very intellectually oriented, right? Very air and fire energy. But there is this sense of innovation coming from how we connect to our bodies, how we connect to our rituals, and how we connect to the physical and the slowness. So this is slow energy. And it is abundance energy. It is wealth energy. But it comes from understanding that that is built slowly and not with the rushed kind of sense of having to send a whole bunch of texts and emails all the time and being on our phones all the time, and much more connecting to our physical bodies and taking our time, moving in the way of the tortoise, which is one of my favorite things. Okay, now here's the thing. There's some kind of big relationship joy and connection and learning coming in. And I'm just going to show you, I find this so interesting the way that these cards play out, you know, because you keep getting these like resistant fire energy, wands energy cards in between these beautiful, open-hearted, cup-bearing young men, right? So Knight of Cups, 10 of Wands, Page of Cups, 5 of Wands. The Knight and the Page, right? These two guys, they are all about heart on the sleeve, bringing openness, bringing good information. A lot of times this is good news, right? These two, they're all about truth, love, beauty, harmony, belief in those things, right? They bring in information, ideas, perspective, healing that helps us open our hearts more rather than shut them down. They also are big dreamers, which I think all you Sages will love that. You guys are dreamers. You love to believe in the big, bold, beautiful, juicy dream. And I think these energies are reflecting that. Once again, we have so much energy in your opposing sign of Gemini, which means that there is a highlight on that connective, juicy, vulnerable energy for you all right now. The highlight is not on who are you supposed to be? Who are you supposed to look like and act like and project yourself out to be, right? In order to be loved, in order to be accepted, in order to feel accepted in yourself. That is not the goal here. These energies are, who are you deep down? And that's where I think these 10 of Wands and 5 of Wands cards are speaking to letting that go. And these are the sneak in fugitives that come with us sometimes when we've grown a lot and we've changed a lot and we think we've left behind all the old storytelling narratives about our value, about who we are in the world, about what we're allowed to do. We think we've shed all of them and that we're free, right? And then we have a dream where all of our day-to-day tasks we realize we're prisoners to, and we have guards watching over us and we want to numb it out. Believe me, I'm doing this work too. My friends, I'm definitely doing this work. But 10 of Wands, 5 of Wands, this is where, you know, if you feel secretly like you're disgusting, and why does anybody like you? But if I just keep performing, it seems like people are kind of okay with me, right? Those kind of beliefs are getting challenged at this time. The belief that you've got to be in a certain modality, that you've got to move through the world in a certain way in order to have value, is getting challenged at this time. Where you feel you need to have conflict or push upstream is going to get challenged at this time. And again, it will happen, which initially maybe you will feel frustrated. Why do I keep having these resistance walls that are telling me that I can't stick it out? Why do I feel like I can't move? Those are the things that aren't serving you. And they'll keep showing up. But then you're going to start to notice, oh yeah, I don't have to keep pulling myself upstream like that. You're being invited to release your resistance. And especially if you have people in your life who really love you, who really want to show up for you, whether that's a lover, family, partner, even if you can't be close to them, but they're wanting to have intimate conversations, intimate moments of real talk, real time. You're going to be invited to show up to that table fully open, and it will feel scary, it will feel risky, but this is also going to be where your greatest healing happens. This is not about isolated healing for you, like I said. And the thing that's so beautiful, and I'm just loving about your cards, is that it's 10 of Cups, the Chariot, and the 3 of Wands. This is, I'm getting full body shivers. Ooh, okay. These cards speak to harmonious relationships. And building a full life with harmonious relationship as a really important anchor point to the whole experience. 10 of Cups and the Chariot are so much about partnerships and long-term emotional investments, right? Both creatively and romantically and familially, that serve as a foundation for the rest of the aspects of you, right? So it's something that helps you propel forward rather than it be something that is just over here in its own box. It's something that adds to the rest of your life, adds to the rest of what you're doing in the world. These energies are super illuminating in that way. They're very supportive of connection. And one part of our healing is definitely to go internal and sit with those fugitive stories that say, oh, you're not allowed to have this, or this is an embarrassing part of you that you need to hide, or that you need to perform all the time in order to be loved. Anything. I mean, that's just scratching the surface. I don't know what your own stories are, but that's one part of it for sure. We have to choose ourselves. We have to be devoted to ourselves. We have to be devoted to our practices and to choosing ourselves and just unrelentingly choosing ourselves. But there's a point at which when somebody reflects that back at us, learning to accept it and bring it in and open up fully to it is a whole other level of life. And the big message here is that you're allowed to welcome in this warm energy. Now, the last card I love because the tagline of Three of Wands is your ships are coming in. The story with Three of Wands is always one of my favorites. The Two of Wands is a merchant who is holding a globe and looking out and has sent his dreams off into the horizon, his ships, his goods off into the horizon, not knowing when they'll come back, what they'll look like, and if they will come back. There's just belief. There's just energetic belief and the resolve to sit there with it. The Three of Wands is that moment when those wishes, those visions come back to meet the merchant. Those ships come back to meet the merchant. He sees them pulling into the harbor. And so, for those of you who are like, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to connect to this thing. I can just kind of vaguely feel it, but I don't have the answers. And there are even less answers now than there were, a few months ago. Now I feel like 10 steps back rather than 2 steps forward. There is a crystallization going on here of that vision and understanding what it's going to be. A lot more answers coming in. I wrote up some keywords for this month, and I'm going to pull one randomly for you and see what the overarching message is for my Sagittarius family. I'm so excited for these cards, though. This is all about surrendering to love, my friends. Dawn. Dawn is the word. Ooh, that's bright. Like the morning dawn. I love that. Okay, so overarching message with the word dawn. It makes me think about this Three of Wands. It makes me think about a time of such pervasive mystery that you start to wonder if that's just the modality life is going to be, right? It's just being in this kind of foggy, mysterious place where you can't quite connect to your body, you can't quite connect to your experience of it, you can't quite, it's like you can even be experiencing some beautiful things and never quite fully anchor it, and you kind of start to wonder if it's all going to be relative again. And then that dawn moment happens, that aha moment, that moment where the sun rises up over the horizon, you just feel the warmth of the rays activating you, right? That feeling like, that big breath in, that first moment of connection is really strong for you this month. So even though we're starting to do all these retrograde things, right? And even though we are starting to do South Node and Sagittarius work, so you'd think those things would be more mysterious, right? Pulling us more into the unknown. And yes, that's true. We do go deeper into the unknown, but that's the thing. You go deeper into the unknown, and that brings about the dawning. And that brings about the clarity, and that brings around the action. That brings around the inspired action that allows for growth in this life. So this is a time of dawning realization for you all. This is a time of paradigm shifting power. Even the full moon this month is going to be in Scorpio. And Scorpio is that sign right before Sagittarius, so it's 12th house initiations, right? And a lot of times when we get a whole bunch of energy in our system from the 12th house, this is where we are about to have that dawn. We get something really deep from behind the scenes that opens us up to what's possible in the future. Venus retrograde also doesn't always have to be about bad things happening in love and drama and bad texting and bad communicating. It can be. But the one thing to always remember about Venus retrograde is the things that fall apart during it, you know, whether that's just like a shabby friendship or somebody who's not really committing to you, or a project that you don't really love and that doesn't really light you up and it just kind of disintegrates. Those are the things that were never meant for you. And the things that really are with you get stronger, get deeper, get more profound, get richer, solidify, are understood from different perspectives. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind. It's very easy to get ritualistic and paranoid and about a retrograde like that and say, oh, well, bad things are going to happen to me. But this is about enriching your life and really going to some deep places, my friends. And like I said, I'm going to have a lot more resources over on Patreon for those of you who are looking for a little more guidance. When it comes to all these retrograde energies, when it comes to all this shifting that's going on right now, it's a really intense time. I know that. And clarity is slow in coming. Once again, if we go back to that King of Pentacles, this is about working with the soil, working with that concept of seeds, of building slowly. And it's also a time where we are allowed to take off our jumpsuits and release that idea of having to take a sedative in order to move through life and free ourselves from the prison of an old paradigm. So big stuff happening here, but I'm loving what I'm seeing here. Commitment, love, connection, vulnerability, openness, paradigm shifting, freedom from old prisons, floating down river, letting beautiful things happen to you, easing more into the softer side and not relying fully on just your Sagittarian survival skills to get you through. So I will leave my Patreon link below. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I will be opening up sessions in June, just waiting for some logistics to come through. So keep an eye on my calendar. I'll leave my booking link below as well. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Verba, and I'll also leave my email as well. So you'll find all the ways to connect with me below. And of course, I'm wearing PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry. I wear it every day. She's my girl. If you are interested in getting some beautiful work from her, I will leave her Etsy shop below. I will see you all so soon for more moon magics, for June readings. This is a wild ride. As a Sag rising, I am riding the wave with you, my beautiful friends. And I am just so excited for this feeling of liberation and openness that is coming through us at this time. Sending you all my love.